third and final day here at Mount Rainier, sadly. And we're starting off the day at the Comet Falls Trail. So the Comet Falls Trail is pretty strenuous, it's steep. I think it's rated moderate. And it's 1.8 miles to the falls itself, which is probably as far as I'll go. Beautiful morning. It's around 46 degrees. A little concerning how easily I've adjusted. I have a long sleeve sun shirt and a windbreaker on, and I feel great. And I'll probably lose the windbreaker soon. It's gonna be a reality check when I go home, and it's like significantly hotter than this. The other day when I was at the wrong falls, I thought I was at Narada and I was at some unnamed falls. It must have been Christine Falls, because I think down the road's just right down that direction. And so I'm wondering if that's what I was seeing. I'll have to check that later. Oh man, that's beautiful. It reminds me of Glacier National Park. I have about 2/10 of a mile left. You definitely work for this one. About 1/10 of a mile to go. And then this. Oh, it's hard to see. I don't think it's showing up on GoPro, but that's Mount Rainier right there. It's getting noisy, so we've got to be close. Well, this is Comet Falls. The viewpoint's not marked really, but I know it's the right distance according to the map, so. And I think I read that this is the tallest falls in the park, but when I see them, I'm like, I don't know. I think that's a pika. They don't seem super scared of people, but at least they didn't walk up to me asking for food like the chipmunks do. Comet Falls Trail was awesome. It's one if I were to do it again, I would do it with the intention of going out to Mildred Point, which is like, I don't know, another extra hour and a half maybe added to your total time. But this honestly is my favorite part of the hike. It's Christine Falls. It's just so pretty. So I parked near the National Park Inn at Longmire, and it's such a super cute area. It's got a little general store, and we're gonna cross the main road over to the Trail of Shadows and then head up on Rampart Ridge. The Longmire area of Rainier National Park is named for James Longmire. He was a pioneer and a mountaineer, and at age 63 summited Mount Rainier, and he, on his trip back down, found hot springs in this area, this meadow down here, and decided that was going to be his family's fortune. So he built a hotel up here so that more people could come up. So during the Ice Age, at times, this meadow was buried by the Nisqually Glacier under up to 1,200 feet of ice. So this is Rampart Ridge right here. And it was formed from a lava flow when Rainier erupted, and the lava flowed down between the Nisqually Glacier and the Kotz Glacier. It's not as warm as I thought it would be. So before the park was established and before the road was engineered to Paradise, there was a spa here, and people would come through horseback. through the wilderness to get here to be able to soak in the hot springs and the mineral springs. And the Longmire's son and his wife kind of had it going in the heyday of the early 1900s, and they built like these tubs over the spring so people could come and soak. And for $8 a week, you could stay and get treated in these hot springs. This cabin was originally built in 1888 by Elkane Longmire, who was James Longmire's oldest son. So water coming down from the snowmelt and rainfall comes up through this mineral spring right here. The water gets warmed by magma deep within the mountain. Then it mixes with cold groundwater before it reappears here at the spring. And it dissolves iron as it goes past the underground rocks, which is what rusts it when it gets to the air. So this is considered a border environment or an edge environment. Basically, it's where the forest is meeting the meadow, and so it can host a greater variety of species of plants and animals. Don't let the 0.7 miles deter you. The Trail of Shadows is so neat. So it continues to circle around, but instead we're going to go up to Rampart Ridge. The beginning of Rampart Ridge is switchbacks all uphill. But then what I read is it's going to flatten out at the top. And then we'll take the Wonderland Trail back down. So it's got to grind this part out. This forest is beautiful though. Rampart Ridge is rough at the beginning, but I'm sure it's going to be worth it. I can see behind me that I'm close. I have about 4/10 of a mile. I'll be at the Longmire viewpoint. This one was hard. Like Comet Falls, you went steep, but then you kind of get a break and flatten out for a bit. This one's just been climb for the most part. Finally, some flat trail. I'm very grateful today. I made it to the Longmire viewpoint. It's beautiful. This would be a great place for a snack, and there's shade too. But it's a little too steep. It's kind of setting off my vertigo, so we're not gonna hang out here too long. But it was definitely worth the work to get up here. So after the viewpoint, you can turn around and go back down about 1.8, 1.9 if you want to go back the way you came. Or I'm gonna continue on, and in about 1.1 miles we'll meet up with the Wonderland Trail, and then we'll take that back down to Longmire. So yeah, I'm glad I did it, but during the process I was a little unsure. So past the viewpoint, it's pretty flat. You're just walking along the ridgeline, and it's really neat. Go clockwise up the Rampart Ridge. Plus you get views of Rainier through the trees ahead of you. Well, we made it. Rampart Ridge intersecting with Wonderland Trail. We want to go 2 miles to Longmire. I think it'd be really cool to come backpack the Wonderland Trail sometime. I'm gonna walk out to the Tacoma Suspension Bridge. Then I might check out the Longmire Museum on my way back. I don't want to leave Rainier. So this is the Tacoma Suspension Bridge. Only one car allowed on it at a time. No pedestrians, so I can't walk across it. So I learned that automobiles got access to Mount Rainier in 1907. That's when the first automobiles came. And it was an experiment. Mount Rainier was the first national park to allow automobiles in. So that building we just saw was the original gas station that made it easier for people to get into the park without having to use a carriage or horseback, that kind of thing. I'm supposed to be leaving now, but instead I'm gonna walk the Trail of Shadows one last time. It's only 0.7 miles. And then I'll go. I just learned that when you're in a forest with a lot of lichen, that's a sign of a healthy forest because it's very sensitive to air pollution.